Today we will be talking about being perfect. We're going to talk about being a perfectionist, falling into that trap, but also how to try to be perfect, but know when you're falling into a trap. And for those of you that are new, welcome. My name is Sam. I'm the artist, writer, and creator of Blood Shadow. I pretty much run a solo comic book studio, solo operation. I do everything from penciling, inking, lettering, editing, coloring, marketing, shipping. I do pretty much everything when it comes to my comic books. I have completed 4 comic books. I don't know if they're in order. They're not. But I've completed 4 comic books, and I want to go over and discuss, what it was like producing these books and what I have learned. Mostly what I learned about myself. I've learned a ton about myself. I'm ready to work on issue number 5, but the main thing that we're trying to do here is, be on this platform, but also promote our books. If you are interested, all of the links will be in the description. You can head over to deathclubcomics.com. You can grab 4 issues in a bundle. I'll have posters and merchandise soon, but let's get into it. So people always talk about falling into the trap of being a perfectionist, but I think you kind of slightly need to fall into that trap. But you need to know when it's consuming you, when it's paralyzing you, and you realize you aren't producing anything. And, my motto for a lot of things is to let something exist and worry about it being good later on. And we're going to go over 4 issues of my comic books because I only have 4 issues. And I'm going to show you guys, what I've learned throughout each book, right? So let's start off with issue number 1. Issue number 1 I thought was amazing. I had no idea what I was doing. I don't know what my approach was, what I was trying to do. I literally had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I read comic books when I was a kid, but I never really knew too much about the business side, the art side of things. When I started on issue number 1, I was like, hey, let me just look at a few comic books and then try to just mimic that, right? I am a strong advocate for mimicking success. So whatever you see someone did, and for me, it was looking at a whole bunch of artists and businesses, you pretty much mimic their success, look at all of what they've done, and reverse engineer everything. Take what you learn from everyone, apply what you have today, which is social media, technology. We have a ton of tools and information, the world of information. There's a ton of information out there to learn how to do pretty much any and everything. So my focus was mainly on Todd McFarlane, mostly business wise, but not art wise. As far as art wise, I think you guys can kind of tell I was going for like a Hellboy / Sin City kind of vibe, but adding color. So that high contrast, noir style. Not too much detail, but you still kind of get, the point across of, what the graphic looks like. So for short, I've sold over 3,000 copies of issue number 1, right? And I had no idea that would even be a thing. I was making jokes on TikTok like, hey, today is day 1 and, day 1 of trying to sell over 1,000 comic books. Like the goal was 1,000 comic books. And that will forever be the goal. Like, let's at least just sell 1,000 copies and show the world that it's possible. And after, my videos went viral and people just fell in love with the cover. And I'm going to tell you everything that is wrong with this book. This is probably, I don't want to say it's the worst book ever. This is an amazing book. I love this book so much. This issue changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my life. This book pretty much, I'm at the point of no return. I cannot return. Because I've sold so many copies as, a solo operated comic book, studio, I have no choice but to continue on this journey, trying to be, a professional comic book creator. Although I should be calling myself that already. I am a professional, but we have a lot we still need to work on. So this book has been picked apart by professionals. I went to Comic Cons. I showed them my book. I mean, I'm not even afraid to open anything up because the art doesn't even look like this anymore. We have different font sizes, pretty much everything. The colors are dark. I really wanted just like an action sequence. Like it's really dark, it's really black, but the story is great. You can follow along, but the story is amazing. But everyone loved this book so much, and if they like it, I love it. And I'm not ashamed of this book at all. And once I finish issue number 5, all 5 of these issues will be in a trade paperback, and you will be able to see where I have progressed as an artist. Now, when I sold over 3,000 copies of issue number 1, I said, hey, man, I think you have something here. You might have something that's working. So for issue number 2, let's turn it up a notch, right? So issue number 1, we did everything digital, digital pencils, digital inking, digital coloring, but I was really trying to go for like this gritty look because, Blood Shadow is a villain origin story. And I really wanted to go with this like gritty look, dark, mysterious character. Everything happens at this club where all villains hang out at, almost like Hero-gasm from The Boys. And, I really wanted to capture, this realm and let people know like, hey, this is what you're getting into. Very violent book, but with a compelling story. It's not just violence, violence, violence. You don't want a cake with nothing but icing. So for issue number 2, again, we've sold over 1,000 copies of. So we can compare issues 1 and 2 just looking at the cover, right? Let me see. I have my monitor in front of me so I can see myself. So we added a lot more detail. It's a lot more vibrant, more colors. It's a lot brighter. I can bring it up to the camera and show you guys. Try to work on anatomy. Really put pencil. I mean, this is still digital, so we can't really say pen to paper, but even when we open it, we have like a brief intro what the book is about, where we're starting at. I'm a lot more confident with this book. I'll tell you that right now. Like I'm like, hey man, I sold thousands of copies of issue number 1, so we have to give the people what they want. Nowadays people want greatness, right? But I'm confident with my work overall. Love everything about it. And for issue number 2, I was like, man, we're just not cutting it. We are still not cutting it. Now, at the time, I've completed 2 comic books, right? And hey, we put something out. The people are loving it. But me personally, I'm like, hey, we need more. If I'm going to compete with Marvel, DC, Image, Boom, really tap into the market of comic book collectors, people that love art, because this is very art driven. My book is very art driven. And between me and you guys, I have sold thousands of copies of my books, and I've never explained to anyone what the book is remotely about. They fell in love with the art and my enthusiasm for my books, because I love my books that much, because it's my creation. I took what was in my mind and I put it, in a different, I brought it to life. It became physical. What was once an idea is now a reality. And for issue number 2, we had to go back to the drawing board. I said, okay, if I want to be great, trying to be a perfectionist. There's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist, but know when it's paralyzing you. So you want to put down the podcast. You don't want to get caught up in analysis paralysis. You don't want to, look at different artists, get inspired, get excited. You don't want to just, run your mouth telling people your ideas, getting these fake dopamine hits. You want to just say, okay, here's the plan. This is what I want to do. And then you do it. You execute it, right? And so that's where issue 3 came into play. Here is a cover to issue number 3. Now let's compare issue number 3 and issue number 2. And in issue number 3, we've gone a little more bright and a little more detailed. Now issues 1 and 2 were done digitally, and now all of my books moving forward will be done traditionally. So that means we did everything on 11 by 17 comic book art boards. And the only thing we did digitally was color our books. Now, I am extremely confident in showing the artwork. So let's look at issue number 3. Like, let's look at these pages, colored by me, by the way, and I hate coloring. I don't know what just happened. We just had some technical difficulties. Now, it's a good thing I have a monitor right here because I would have been recording this and had no idea that, I don't know what happened. Anyways, let's get back to issue number 3. So as soon as we open up to issue number 3, this is what it looks like, right? We have the cover again. You know, we have a brief intro what the book is even about. And then let's see, when we turn it, don't want to show too much violence, but we can go over like this is one of my favorite pages. So we introduce new characters to the story. You know, we're more consistent with our thought bubbles, font size, you know, everything. I mean, you know, we have new characters. We have Shrognoff, the Silent Fang, who is this big guy down here. And then we have our coyotes, who are cannibals. Whoa. They're called coyotes, but they're mercenaries. Mercenaries that are cannibals. Issue 3. Amazing book. Amazing book. But we needed to do more. So I want to circle back to being a perfectionist, right? We always want to strive to be better. We always want to improve, right? That's just human nature. You know, there is so much talent out there. When you look through social media, and this is how you get paralyzed. You can go on Twitter, you can go on Instagram, you know, and the algorithm will just shoot you and spit out just like these talented people. There are so many talented artists out there. And for me, it's like, man, I'm trying to be, you know, just as good. And most will say like, you are that good. And yes, I'm great, but we can always be better. We can always improve. There's always something to work on, you know, and it doesn't even have to be art. It can even be storytelling, right? And I wanted to take some time off from issue 3 and really plan issue 4 accordingly, because one person that I truly study a lot is Ryan Ottley. I love his work ethic, his art style, literally everything. And the fact that he does everything traditionally, you know, between Ryan Ottley, Daniel Warren Johnson, Sanford Green, those are the guys that... All right, guys, I don't know what is going on, but look, again, I'm glad we have this monitor. I'm tired of this stopping, but everything is being recorded. I checked the files to make sure I'm not just talking just to talk. Now, let's get back to it. When Sanford Green finished his Doom book, I remember seeing him post on Instagram like this stack of paper. He's talking about like his eyes are heavy, and you know, I just seen these stacks of like you know, art boards, and I'm like, man, I want to do that too. I want to get 11 by 17 comic book art boards, and I want to put pen to paper because I really can draw. You know, I don't need Procreate or any other, you know, digital tools out there to help me create comic book. I can do everything by hand. I know I can. And like I said earlier, just mimic success. And, you know, not that I care about respect from others about being like, you know, an artist, but people will respect my work more. And I'm also inspired by, you know, manga artists like Kentaro and, you know, Yusuke Murata, you know, both from, you know, Berserk and then One Punch Man. I know Kentaro was a solo guy, but Yusuke, I know he has a team, you know, of assistants. But even, okay, I think my hard drive is fried right now. It's too hot. So we're probably gonna have to do a part 2. But this is what issue 4 looks like. You know, this is what issue 4 looks like. We're getting better and better after each issue. I'm really bummed out that I have to cut this video short. But yeah, man, this is what it looks like when you start something. You know, you let it exist, and then eventually you worry about it being good later on. Now, I will go back in depth on Yusuke Murata and Kentaro Miura and how they inspired me to be a comic book creator, but this thing is fried right now, man. I'm gonna have to let it cool off. We'll come back. But look, thank you guys. If you made it this far, I don't know how long this video is, but please, deathclubcomics.com, grab your books today. Peace.